Greetings, friend. Yes, come on in, come on in. So, working through the backlog of, the builds I haven't shown yet. Here's another one that I kind of skipped over, the Mixed Passive Ranger. Now, this is a bit of a strange one, but one that I really, really like. So, sure, I could have made it a carbon copy of the Mixed Passive Assassin, getting that, um, that huge bonus to heal power from Mage, and the bonus to pretty much everything from the 25-point Bard passive. But I decided to make it a little different, and something that I really noticed with Ranger is that it can debuff a lot more than the Assassin can. And I know technically the Bard is technically the debuff class, right? The debuff path, I should say. But I don't really like Bard as much, so here we are. So, in essence, this is more of a debuff ranger than a mixed passive ranger. I mean, I guess it's technically both, but it's more focused on the debuffing part. So, that's why I have, the points where I do, right? Um, so, we got 100 ranger, or well, 75 rogue and 25 ranger. We got the 15 warrior, mainly for the shield bash, but also because recharge blow is a really nice thing to have as a rogue. Just another lifesteal skill for you to use. Of course, we have 15 mage, which just unlocks mixed passive, but also gives us fireball for the -2 magic defense debuff, and then put the rest in bard. Not only for the really good stats, but also because these three skills are all debuff skills as well. And when you combine it all together with the rogue's basic debuffs, which there aren't that many of, but they exist, you would have -3, which is kind of back in the day, something like this would be called a -2 heal power debuff, and we stack it with a -1, like a Bolero. People tend to call that a -3. It stacks, right? So you have -3 to a lot of stats as a debuff. So you have -3 heal power from Shield Bash and Bolero, -3 attack and magic from Minute and Song of Storms, which will both give you -2, and then the long-lasting grappling hook giving you -1 to both. -3 defense from Hunter's Mark that does it on its own, which is really convenient, I must say, for a rogue to have that. -3 magic defense from Poison Blow and Fireball. And I believe that's it. On top of the bleed and poison that you have access to. So basically, it's a lot of debuffs that you can throw out. So if there's an enemy that is really dangerous, that would likely cause you or your party, because this is more multiplayer oriented anyway, that would cause you and your party some trouble, you can debuff them reliably. And this is really, really useful for dungeon keepers because they are long-lasting battles with, bosses that have a lot of stats. So being able to debuff them is really useful in that regard. But yeah, and also I forgot to mention this is a -1 evasion debuff, which isn't a whole lot, but against enemies that aren't really classed as rogues, it can really help just guarantee a hit because anyone, any fighter, yeah, fighters have a basic chance of evading attacks even with no evasion. So that little extra debuff there will just help with like tanks or mage enemies. So yeah, Mixed Passive Ranger, one of the Mystic Sisters. That's what I tend to call these two over here. The Assassin and Ranger, they're both mixed passive. So given what that's referencing, I guess it kind of dates me pretty well. Oh well. Right. So a few I guess, critiques of this build stat wise, because the stats are pretty bad. Well, I say bad, they're pretty on the low end, I guess you could say. So compared to my mixed passive assassin, my mixed passive assassin has a lot more attack and magic, and also because of the 25 mage, a lot of heal power. And well, by nature being an assassin, slightly more crit chance, right? The ranger does not have any heal power. That's really bad. Regardless of what path you are, you do want some heal power. And I'm getting 30 from the mage and the bard together, so it's not ideal, in other words. And 900 attack and magic is good, but you kind of want soft cap attack and magic if you're going to be a crit build, which is 950 or so. Or, 950, not 950 to 1,000, I should say. And yeah, so that's a little iffy. Also, negative 12 air resistance is really rough because the only enemies that can outspeed you use air. Yeah, like I may have 200 agility, but some enemies are faster than that. I guess my one saving grace is my above average evasion, but well. My crit chance is fine. It could be better, but it could be much worse. And my crit power is 40 is about the average. Uh, you can get away with having 40 crit power. 50 is ideal, but 40 will do. So yeah, it's a little weak in some places, but that's fine. This is really just a thematic build that I just wanted to try out, and I noticed that you have all these debuffs and whatnot. So I get some food, some crit chance. Given my low stats, I might want to have attack and magic food, but I think I would prefer heal power instead. Maybe some air resistance, just to cover up that, because that minus 12 will like get me killed if I'm not lucky. I could also try agility to outspeed the air enemies, but that's no guarantee either. So yeah, I'll go for the air just to make sure I don't die. All right, so I'll also um, just to show, I did do a multiplayer run with this character. Got pretty far. Room 25. I mean, it's not great, not the best, but it is pretty far. And yeah, debuffing enemies that are tough for your party, really useful in that regard. Uh, and just a heads up here, I might not finish this run through and through because I'm still a rogue. Rogues, especially glass cannon rogues, they don't really solo that well. Ow, I forgot that you do damage. Actually, it hasn't been that long, but still. Yeah, you gotta deal with enemies evading you and all that. Gotta deal with Boggy Chubby debuffing your crit power. Yeah, it's a pain, I tell you. Rogues really do have the shorter end of the stick. Their only saving grace, I guess, is they do enough damage to kill um, dungeon keepers reliably. So if you can keep them alive, that is. Okay, excuse me. Just had to clear the throat. The frog in the throat, always present. So yeah, not getting lucky with the enemies here at all. Buggy Chubby and his Muckfall. Now, I should be using Song of Storms because Buggy Chubby uses magic damage, things like that. But I'd rather save that for later on because this is an early room. Buggy Chubby, only level 80. I ran through my crit buff already. That goes to show how harrowing this can be. So, Golem, I don't think I need to. I guess I'll use Shield Bash just for some defense. Why not? Because I know I can outspeed Golem. Yeah, that'll do. Hopefully I'll crit with this. Yeah. This to get some healing back. That's fine. You again. Yeah, this is kind of the gameplay of a rogue. You just spend all your time healing in solo. Because you can't survive that long at full health. Hmm. Well, I could debuff your attack, but I would really like to heal, though. And I have a fire blight, so I kind of have to change my blight, because if you do augmented damage, I'm going to die. I really don't want to be burning through all these recharge blows so early. But, yeah, I might have to. Fire, wind, shield. Okay, you're a tank. That's fine. Ow, you still do some damage, though, because I've got no defenses. The folly of the rogue. Well, really, I say that. I think the main issue with the glass cannon rogue, especially, well, just rogues in general, is that they rely way too much on crit. And crit was nerfed. I mean, it was a while ago, but it was nerfed pretty hard. Um, so they rely on crit not only to do damage, but also to survive. All of their healing is based on critting. And why are you so evasive today, Flamespark? Good lord. So, in other words, rogues have a hard time critting 100% of the time. So, if they find themselves in trouble, like I am now, Phantom Cord is not a good boss to be finding right now. Oh my. They have to hopefully crit to heal themselves well, and even then, they need a lot of heal power to heal themselves really well. Uh, so yeah. So in other words, I guess the main issue I have with rogues is that their recovery is tied to their offensive stat, which is also not really reliable to get them out of sticky situation. Which is a little rough because it means you can't circumvent the issue by just being a tanky rogue, because I've tried that before, stacking defenses, getting some heal power, and dropping my crit chance to like 600, 500, which is kind of what you would have by default as a rogue. But it doesn't really work because then, you won't take as much damage. You can survive a few hits, but you can't keep your health high. And trying to heal up is difficult. So, and yeah, I know my old crit build guide kind of said like go for a more hybrid build. That's what I called it, a hybrid crit build, having lower crit chance but some decent defense and heal power. In practice, I mean it's up to chance really, but still trying to heal up is not easy. Um, but ow, okay, sir, you have to calm down. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make this one. It's a bit of a shame. Okay, let's save it a little bit. But yeah, oh, you see, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate. Perhaps that's what I get for talking about rogues so badly, but Hmm. Yeah, so this is one of those air enemies that can outspeed you, and if I don't evade, or you know, if it doesn't crit, I might survive. If I evade, I'll definitely survive. Uh, if it evades, I'm going to die though. So let's see. Yeah, figured as much. Such is the life of a glass cannon. But yeah, now don't let that display dissuade you from this. Because that's just glass cannon rogues. That mixed passive assassin video that I made a while ago. That run was just really lucky. I watched it back after the fact, and I was like, man, I actually got through there without getting evaded or critted or missing my crits or anything like that. Should I go in for another though? You know what? Why not? Because to be honest, I really do love this build. A debuffing rogue. It's just more for multiplayer, and also um, in solo you spend all your time healing anyway, so you can't really debuff, as it were. So we'll just get through these early enemies, these early tank enemies, I should say. Going to switch to the other crit food to hopefully outlast the war of RNG. Hopefully, I will debuff your attack this time. You may be first from golem, but you're like I'm a glass cannon, so I can't really just take damage from you. You see how much little or how much less damage he's doing now with the attack debuff active. Really useful. Rocky Pebble. I didn't run into any of you last time, I don't think. It's fine. Windy Puff. Kind of want to counter because, okay, I did not expect to actually outspeed Windy Puff. Windy Puff is just a smaller version of the Stormy Eye that one-shot me last time. Well, it didn't one-shot me, it finished me off, but still. Buggy Chubby. And I guess this is another lesson for being a Glass Cannon Rogue. You do kind of want to stack your crit chance really high, even with your critical shooting being available, because critical shooting does not last as long. Like, well, it lasts a while, but unlike a mage or a warrior, you can't really afford to spend a turn using critical shooting. And mages don't need to use concentration all the time, and warriors don't really need to use on guard all the time. It's just sort of there if they really need to, but most of the time they can get away with not having it up. But rogues kind of need critical shooting because their crit chance is not reliable. I kind of forgot I had Arrow Storm. I probably could have used that to my advantage. Yeah, I don't know why. I always forget I have Arrow Storm on a Ranger. It is a really useful skill to have, giving you lucky, therefore giving you two chances to crit and evade in one turn. But oh well. Looks like I'm getting a whole bunch of tanky enemies this time around. I mean, I guess I was last time, but even more so. And the problem with tanking enemies is that they don't die, but they still do damage because I got no defense. Yeah. You know what? I guess not again. Okay, well that's just bad luck, I guess. You know what? That's good enough. But um, No, but really, it is a really good multiplayer build. That enemy is just hard to kill because it hits like a truck. And enemies like that, like Stormy Eye and Windy Puff, Event Chest, Morning Belt Icy especially, hell, even the Magma Blade in multiplayer, they all hurt, and when you die, you die. So that's why I like to play bruisers or really tanky rogues. Now, some tanky rogues can crits and solo really well, but I've already made those. If I can find them, I forgot what floor they're on. Are they here? I could search them. I just don't feel like doing so. Yeah, I kind of forgot what floor that my assassin is, but because it's yeah, these two knuckleheads over here. Yeah, having 50 warrior and also endurance means that you have a lot of base defenses and heal power and whatnot, so you can go full on crit gear. Because this character and also the assassin version, which has 100 endurance, they both have full crit gear. They still have like 1300 crit chance, but they retain like 300 or so defense. It's really nice. Of course, they have like the high end, hard to obtain crit gear, but still. And also, one other thing I meant to mention during that little, I guess you could call it a, well, it wasn't really a rant, it was more of a critique of Glass Cannon Rogue. If you want to be a crit build that can do well in solo and multiplayer and not die immediately, may I suggest the Crit Necromancer? You know why? Because they don't rely solely on crit chance. They are a mage, so if they need to heal themselves, they can just use Healing Light or Life Surge and Song of Storms, because that also heals you for a pretty decent amount. Plus, their final passive heals them when they burst. Bursting is really easy to do. It's not a whole lot, but it's still something. And technically, necromancers have the highest theoretical damage in the game because they can crit, right? They have a +2 damage buff from a evil touch, but also their final passive gives them stronger bursts, which no other path has. A crit berserker could have +2 attack and crits as well, but they don't have increased burst damage. Assassin has increased crit damage, which is kind of about the same um, damage wise, but they don't have an attack buff, nor do they have a defense debuff either. Yeah, mages have fireball, so they can debuff an enemy's magic defense. Use evil touch to get more magic and also get crit chance, because that's one thing that they lack is crit chance. But if you're a default necromancer, which is the necromancer, then 25 bard, and then 25 guard, and then you use a bunch of crit gear, which is a build that I am working on right now, you will have like around 1,000 crit chance, which is fine because you will have like 150 or so physical defense and a whole bunch of magic defense, because mages have a lot of magic defense by default. So in other words, you won't have to worry about not critting all the time because, well, one, you can heal yourself without needing to crit, and also the heals are stronger because elemental bursts are stronger. That also affects your healing. So if you burst heal, you're going to heal for a lot. And not to mention they have Wind Wall, which also gives them more defenses, so they don't die as easily. They can heal themselves reliably. Of course, they don't do as much or crit as often, but when they do crit, it's about the same as a rogue anyway. So um, this this video really has become just a huge critique of rogue. I'm sorry. It's about the Debuff Ranger. Debuff Ranger is actually one of the few crit builds I actually like. Just like the mixed passive Assassin, which is also glass cannon, but I only really like it because it's kind of like a bard, but way more flexible and also um, simpler. I guess you could say it's neat. It's got a whole bunch of heal power, so it doesn't suffer the same, well, as much of the same issues as a regular rogue would. But I digress. Debuff Ranger, it's a nice build. Try it out. But again, just like most Glass Cannon rogues, mostly for multiplayer, but I would say this is a little bit better than a regular rogue for multiplayer because again, you can debuff a lot, you know. So no matter what you're facing, you will have an answer for it. And yeah, I guess that's all I have to really say on it. It's a really good build. Just don't expect much from it in solo. Not sure. You could try using some defense food and just go with your base crit chance, I guess, which might actually work pretty well. But I don't feel like doing another run right now, so uh, I'll let you figure that one out. Until then, ta ta for now.